When it comes to marriage, forget till death us do part. According to a new survey, 51% of women believe that although marriage is meant to be a lifelong commitment, it usually isn't practical. And among those aged between 18 and 24, half of them no longer believe it to be a realistic union.
Wow.
That is pretty big, Nadia, isn't it? What do you think? Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised because I can't believe that I'm an old fogey. It has happened. I finally realised I am, because there's so much that I say that my daughters look at me just so strangely, like I'm from another planet. And I think more and more young people are thinking about the cost of marriages and, you know, there's more, you know, the flow of life, who knows what's happening, what's going to happen. So I think just the nature of the planet and everything that's going on, kids just are very open-minded about stuff. I mean, my girls...
Is that a good thing, then? Is that a good thing?
Well, I don't think anything is just one thing, is it? I think there's good and bad. I mean, I always used to be of the idea that I would say, if I had daughters, you know, oh, don't settle down with the first person you're with, you know, and don't, you know, just take that swim in the sea and try all the fish. But actually, my eldest daughter isn't that sort of person. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Thinking about the fish.
Yeah. Judi drifted off a little bit there, I have to say. You were in the sea, weren't you?
I was fully in the pond.
She was in the fish.
She was in the sea with the fish.
Sea, yeah.
What kind of fish?
I don't know. I want something that would just snap. So.
There you go. But you see, my daughter's not that sort of a person, and she's been like that since a really small child. My second child, I think, is. She would be like, well, let's see. But Maddie is very much a very, very loyal person. I could imagine her meeting somebody quite young and staying with them.
And wanting to take the step of getting married.
Yeah, and now I'm my age, I wouldn't say to her, don't do that. Yeah. But I think marriage is another thing you have to really think about. Yeah. But...
I mean, Myleene, you're not an old fogey, that's for sure.
I feel like one.
What would you say to your daughters?
Well, look, I'm divorced. We've got a blended family, so my partner, we've been together 8 years now, but he was married as well. And it's interesting what you say, because children do see so much, and the biggest growing unit now, we used to know it as the 2.4, it's now the 1.7, can't do the maths on that. The biggest growing family unit is the blended family. Yeah. So there's all these children who are growing up in these families seeing whether a marriage has worked or hasn't. And I think what's so interesting about marriage is it's the only contract that you will ever enter into in your life where you don't get a lawyer to look over it, or you probably don't even get your mates to look over it.
Because it's supposed to be about romance, isn't it? It's about love and romance.
Yeah. And if it all goes really well, brilliant. As we already know, 1 and 2, they don't go very well. Wow. And what you're then left with is an aftermath of you're standing there, you could potentially lose your house, you could potentially lose half your earnings, and you're in this no man's land if you don't know what your rights are, and suddenly it all does start adding up. It is not something I would allow my daughters to, and we've had very open conversations about it, because I think you have to not treat the marriage as the business, but the contract as one. Although there isn't one.
So what does that mean in real terms? Let's say one of your kids comes and says...
which is a breach of the contractual obligation, you don't get fined for it. You don't have an HR. You can't go, this has gone wrong. You've just got your mate, or you've got your mother-in-law maybe, or you've got your mum, and everyone's got advice, but it's not helpful advice because it's not legal advice, and you're still bound by the legalities of it.
But you're engaged, so...
I am engaged, I'm just not married.
But, I mean, so what, have you got lawyers to look over the contract?
No, but when my partner, let's give him a name, Sim, he has the name Simon, Sim, very lovely man indeed, but when he came to live in our family home, he signed a contract, which is like not like a prenup because we're not married, but it was like a tenancy agreement, I suppose, or a cohabitation agreement. And he was so sweet. He's like, I don't need that with you. It's fine. I'll just sign anything. And I said to him, no, please, go and read this. Please go and look at what the small print says, because then I know, you know what you're entering into, and if you still walk in with that, it's not about the romance. You can still have the romance. In fact, it actually gives you true clarity of, I know what you earn, I know what you have, I know what you're bringing. The children, let's be honest, as they get older, 16, 12 and 4, they've got great needs.
You just get blinded by the moment, don't you?
My children already know that they can blame me. We've got an agreement. So if they choose to...
mama.
Absolutely.
The tiger mama,
I've told them, whoever you get with, if you decide to get married, you tell them you can't touch mama's money, it's in trust, which, by the way, isn't a lie. But if somebody looks at them and thinks that's a payday or whatever else, they will know that they're protected by the tiger, dolphin, jellyfish.
I mean, it's a very
just know
commercially minded approach.
Because when
Would
you
do
think
it, Judi?
about it, we don't know. When we're talking about it as women, we say, oh, no, you'll get the house because you've got the kids. And
No,
we all say this stuff, but we don't actually know what the facts are.
50-50, and sometimes it's not even 50-50. And here's the thing, this isn't all about the women. I don't want my son to go into a situation where someone could potentially treat him this way either. It's about protecting all sides, and that's what a contract should do.
It should, it should. I just wonder how that matches up with the emotional feelings that people have around a partner that they trust and love. And, I mean, would you be asking someone to look over the contract?
I'm thinking about myself, not about the kids. No, do you know what? I think, you know, unfortunately, we do live in an age where everything is short-term, everything is temporary, and I always talk to both of my kids about trying to have their own first, you know, and thinking about what you have before you combine the life. But, you know, what you said really sticks regards to any other thing that we sign. We look at the contract there is, and maybe there should be like, well, if you cheat...
Let's say you had a nice boss.
Yeah.
And I trust this boss, and I'm going to enter into this contract with my boss. And then the other boss goes, or something goes wrong at work, you'd be stuck, but you'd have still looked at the terms of the contract. The marriage still stands. Everything was really nice, and everything was flowers and perfume, and then suddenly it all went very wrong. They go off with, let's say, I don't know, the secretary, or you find yourself in sickness and in health, and it's not quite like that anymore. What do you do? You're not protecting your kids.
And that's where the greatness and everything happens. It is about protecting yourself.
You can't enforce
educating yourself. This is educating us.
Wow, there we go.
Prenup.
We get my terms and conditions.
Something to think about. Something to think about.